Thanks for joining us for this video series. My name's Gary Falcon and I'm going to be your guide. The series is designed to give you an understanding of what Twine is and the kinds of benefits schools gain when using Twine. I'm going to start with a very brief introduction that explains who we are and our relationship to EDSBY. After this, we'll be logging into Twine to see firsthand how it works. First, a bit of background about how we got here. I founded Apteris, the parent company of Twine, about 20 years ago after working on an online platform for learning and community building at Emory University in Atlanta. What I saw at Emory is that having the right collaboration software for a school isn't just a nice addition to what a school does. Having the right tools can really be transformative. And so what excites me about the work that we're doing, working over the last 20 years with literally hundreds of schools and districts ranging from anywhere from about a dozen up to about 250,000 students, is a way that having the right tools really improves outcomes and creates opportunities that simply don't exist without the right technology. Part of this is in how we interact and engage parents. Part of it has to do with how we can bring staff together and help them use time and information more effectively. Part of it is also how we can have quantitatively and qualitatively different interactions with students when we engage them online. So nowhere is this more important than in the private school market. What we see time and again is that families choose a private school based on particular programs or philosophies or approaches to learning. And generally speaking, schools do well at delivering on those core items. Where the problems occur and where parents leave schools tends to be because parents don't know all the things that a school is actually doing for their child, or because a small misunderstanding is escalated into a large one due to poor communication. And that's really where we help. So our mission for Twine really at a high level, it's about two things. First is improving family satisfaction, and the second is helping you to maximize enrollment, because we know that when families are happy and in the loop, they're going to come back and tell other folks about your school and so forth. So we do this really based on three pillars. The first is consistent, personalized communication with parents. Now, there are dozens of options out there that can be used to do things like share grades and attendance. What we see, though, is that, while this is important information, by itself, it just isn't enough. Parents don't connect very often if all they see is reporting on numbers. So to get parents to actually connect, they need to see the broader story. They need to see what's happening in class day to day, what's coming up, what resources are being shared, and really it's seeing those stories that helps parents feel a connection to your school and to the teachers. And this is what ultimately causes parent satisfaction to improve. So Twine makes it really easy for teachers to share this sorts of information with parents without asking teachers to do extra work, and it's a really critical piece. The second pillar for us is in helping schools to operate professionally and efficiently. Even more so than in public schools, when a parent calls to talk with your principal about how their child is doing, they expect the principal to know what's going on and have all the details. So Twine provides powerful tools where administrators can see everything going on with a student, or that allow teams of teachers, counselors, and therapists to coordinate and share notes securely relating to the learning journey of each student. Again, when parents know you're on top of what's happening at the school, that's when satisfaction improves and they know that you really care about them. Third, we enable rich online environments where teachers and students can share information and interact. Students today have grown up in an environment where social media and getting online for information and connection, it's just second nature. And what we see is that providing an academically appropriate online environment where teachers can meet students online, where they're most comfortable, that's when we get qualitatively different kinds of interactions with them than we do when interacting face-to-face. Often, for example, we'll see students who are less comfortable raising their hand in class, and they'll get online and they contribute these really thoughtful and insightful posts when they had a chance to reflect and organize their thoughts and do that in writing. And so what we've seen is that many schools, they're encouraging things like peer mentoring, where students build their own knowledge and confidence by helping one another with their questions. Or they're doing things like using class time differently with flipped classroom kinds of concepts, where students are maybe watching videos at night and coming in and applying those things during the day. So, to me, this is a big part of where the transformative power of these solutions comes in. And again, at the end of the day, it's all about stronger connections with peers and with staff that are going to drive satisfaction. And so all of that rolls up to that top level objective. Now, on the back end, our close partner, an important piece for this, is a platform called EDSBY. And my first experience with EDSBY was actually down at Hillsborough County Schools in Florida. This is a district around the Tampa area that enrolls close to 250,000 students across about 330 schools. And what I saw immediately is that while the software is great for public schools, It is even better. All of our the private schools we've been working with would really clamor for something like this. But EDSBY was designed specifically with public districts in mind and wasn't structured in a way that makes it easy to use or within reach for most of our private school customers. And so that's really what spurred us to develop Twine. So I want to touch just briefly on sort of the distinction between EDSBY and Twine. So typically, we see EDSBY rolled out at public schools or sometimes at high enrollment private schools or boarding schools. And in a traditional EDSBY deployment, every district or school gets its own dedicated EDSBY cluster, which of course carries its own base cost. And then each engagement starts with an integration between EDSBY and whatever on-premise student information system is being run, things like PowerSchool or Infinite Campus or Blackboard, whatever happens to be in place. Now, for public schools, this makes a lot of sense. We need to fit into the existing systems that they're using without changing any internal processes. But for many of our private schools, this is a problem. First, because the integration typically starts at about $10,000, which was just a non-starter for most. But also, a lot of schools that we're talking to don't necessarily even have an SIS, or the SIS that they're using wasn't particularly good, or won't integrate, or the schools weren't happy with it in the first place. So Twine was built specifically with the needs of small to medium private schools in mind. And what we did is we set up a Twine cluster that serves any number of schools. Much like Hillsborough County has a Twine cluster that serves 330 schools, and we provide our cloud-based Twine SIS, which is already integrated to EDSBY. So we can bring on new schools without having to do an upfront integration for each one, bringing costs down by about a factor of 10. Right? Even better, it means that with Twine, we have a one-stop shop where schools can do everything they need, from storing student and parent demographics and class schedules to communications, online classes, grades, reporting, and everything else they need. So, and then at last, I want to mention in a few cases, we've had schools that said, listen, we have an SIS, we like it, we don't want to change it, but we do want to use Twine just for the ease of setup and the lower cost. And so we've had some schools where they've actually taken the data from their existing SIS. We use that to feed the Twine SIS, and then they're up and running in EDSBY again without having to do that customized integration. So there's the distinction between EDSBY and Twine, and we're really excited about it. So in terms of what we do, we're going to look at many of these capabilities in the following videos, but there are two things that I want to point out here. First, note that the Twine SIS, this piece on the left, is really your management console. Typically, there are just one or two people at the school that use the management console when adding students or setting up schedules. All your parents, students, and teachers interact solely with EDSBY, giving them one place to connect for everything, these things here in the middle. The second important detail here is that we do integrate with tools like Google and Office 365, both of which offer free accounts for schools. So if you're already a Google or O365 user, it means you can connect to EDSBY without having to remember additional passwords, and once inside you can do things like access documents in Google Drive and OneDrive. All right. That's it for my introduction. Thanks for staying with me, and I hope this helped explain who we are. Now next we can start looking at the product directly.